About 4 years ago, a couple of months, and I was fresh out of school. Navy, I was a photographer, mate, and I was fresh out of photo school, and I knew nothing about the Navy. I'd been in the Navy maybe 8 months, something like that, and so I had ordered the blues, and so I just went down the street. The school was here in Pensacola. I went down to the blues, and I knew nothing about Navy life. I didn't know about the Blue Angels except I'd seen them fly. And so the way the blues were structured at the time, I didn't have a real, I was the only guy on the road that wasn't involved with the airplanes. So I worked for the public affairs officer, and so he was off doing stuff, and I was on my own. So I kind of got absorbed into the maintenance operation, even though I was a photographer. I also was a private pilot. I knew how planes fly, but I knew nothing about family. So I hadn't made third class petty officer yet. I was close. I was a striker. I was supposed to get it and so on. So I got assigned to the lowliest job on the maintenance crew, which was pumping smoke and dye and cleaning the canopies. And Guy was the front man, was running the road crew. Well, he worked for the chief. But anyway, Guy, and I didn't know him yet, and he acted real serious and intimidating, like he could. So we were down in Corpus Christi about the middle of July, and I was on the team 1st of June, and so about the middle of July we were down there. And the lieutenant, who was the public affairs officer, told me I needed to go with the pilots to some sort of a function that night and bring my camera and take pictures. So the smoke and dye crew worked in the evenings. So I went to Guy and I said, I need to get off the smoke and dye crew because I got a function I got to go to and take pictures. So he did. He got somebody else to do it. And so I guess it was maybe a couple of days later. He came up to me, and this was my introduction to Guy. And I knew nothing about it. He came up to me and said, it must be really nice to have a hobby you can do in the Navy. And of course, he was dead serious about it. And I found out later that, he was just yanking my chain, which he did constantly to everybody. So that was sort of my introduction to Guy, and I will say over 40 years, that relationship never changed. I mean, it was one thing after another. There's a couple of 3C stories I got to tell you because, and I'm sure the guys that are here from the team will know some of these. But, he had a thing with the phone company, and I'm not sure what got it started, but he called home many times, first in person, for his brother Sal. And of course, Sal wasn't anywhere close. And, in the days of being able to make a first-person call, you didn't get charged for the call unless the other person got on the phone. So Sylvia's on the phone, and Guy's talking to the operator. God, we're in Seattle, this week, and, we got a great hotel, and the weather's great, and blah, blah, blah. And when he'd run out of things to say, she'd get back on the phone and say, well, I can't find Sal. You'll have to call back. Well, that went on and on. And we were in Hempstead, Long Island, staying at a place called the Perkins Inn. And Jim Rice was his roommate at the time, and I was up there in the room, and we were talking, and the guy said, I think I'm going to call McGee Khrushchev. And he got on the phone for probably an hour, got the overseas operator, and then got the European operator, and he was trying to call Khrushchev in the Kremlin. And, he got all the way to an operator that couldn't speak English, it just went on like that, constantly. And then another time that was he came to the team, I think Harley Hall, who was our skipper at the time, brought Guy to the team with him. They managed squadron together. And he was spit and polish. My gosh, he was, on a deck of an aircraft carrier with 4,000 guys standing there, you could pick him out of the crowd. He was that kind of player. So we were in Lakehurst, New Jersey, and I was driving this Navy station wagon, and a guy was sitting there in the car with me, and there was somebody in the back seat.
I was in it.
All right, so we go by this farm, and there's a big herd of goats in there, and Guy says, stop a minute. So we stopped, and Guy went in a minute. He came back carrying this big goat. He had borrowed a goat from this guy to take out to the airfield that day. And we took it out there, and we tied it to the skipper's nose strut. And all morning and then until it was time for the air show, that goat was grazing behind the plane there on a big long rope, and and Harley Hall, who was, didn't go for any kind of nonsense. I guess nothing happened. It was pretty funny. And then we took the goat back to the farm on the way back to the hotel that evening. But, Guy was the kind of guy that was kind of a sailor that you could always count on. And, I don't know how many photographers he'd been around, but he realized after a short period of time that I had a job to do and didn't fit in with the maintenance operation very easily. And he came up with this idea, let's find something that you can do for the team that you'll always be available for. And it evolved into me always parking the airplanes for the show. And he also said, when you go with number 7, maybe a day ahead of the team, you need to be qualified to be a crew chief. And so he got me qualified to be a crew chief on a Phantom. Now, I don't imagine there's any photographers in the Navy that were qualified to be a crew chief on a Phantom, but I was, and I had my yellow gear license because of Guy. I mean, he really took care of me. And within 2 years, I was a second-class petty officer. I mean, I jumped 2 grades in 2 years. And a lot of it was due to the fact that Guy guided me and showed me what you needed to do in the Navy to get along and what you could get away with. And the Blue Angels had to get away with a lot in order to function. And he was just remarkable at things like that. And I think he must have been a chief's dream petty officer because you could count on him to get the job done no matter what. I don't care how bad, what was on fire, you didn't have to worry if Guy had it crashed. It got taken care of. And the last, after we were both out of the Navy, I was involved with promoting air shows for some years. And we were doing a big show up in Jim Rice was involved with this too. We were doing a big show in Atlantic City, New Jersey. It was a transportation exposition. And it was 5 days and 100,000 people and the Blues and the Snowbirds, the Golden Knights, and Joey Chitwood's, Daredevil drivers and motorcycle stunt teams. I mean, all this stuff. And we were sitting there one day thinking about there's no way we can handle all this because there was so much involved. I mean, Jim was involved with keeping. One day he had 200 toilets with no toilet paper in. But anyway,
that's important.
We decided to call Guy and see if he would come up to Atlantic City and help us out. And he came and he brought Pat with him.
Okay.
And if it hadn't been for the two of them up there, I don't know if we'd have made it or not. But we had, needless to say, we had a great 5 days. I never laughed so much in my life. And so 40 years has gone by awfully fast. And, all the Reader's Digest used to have a section, the most unforgettable character that you've ever met. Well, Guy would have been a great candidate for that. He was an individual that never, ever leaves your mind. And I can see him smile and that jutted out lower jaw, and Pat does the same thing. When he's, he's so mischievous. And he had that sparkle in his eye when he was up to no good. But it usually was pretty good at all. So, I'll miss him a lot, but he's still here. And this fall, when we get together for our reunion, his spirit will be there. And the one thing that I was hoping actually that happened today that has not is I have not met his brother that's the ballet dancer. Some of you know what I'm talking about, but you can ask me later.
Ballet dancer. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let me say something.